You said that you could not believe that we survived cancer to live and see all this crap. Well, you really said like harsher words. That stopped me in my tracks. So I started the Butterfly Exchange because I feel like a lot of Americans are absolutely stuck right now. We're so divided, exhausted, and somehow a lot of us are fighting with people who we actually really love. And it's so hard to navigate right now. So I'm a moderate liberal who is married to somebody who sees the world very differently politically than I do. And it's really hard to talk politics with each other. And I know that I'm not alone. Okay, this is my friend Britta, and she also has survived cancer. And she said something to me on the phone the other day that stopped me right in my tracks. You said that you could not believe that we survived cancer to live and see all this crap. Well, you really said like harsher words, but I totally get why. But what did you exactly mean by that?
Cindy, I'm glad that you mentioned that. And I often think about this because after I got diagnosed with cancer and I was given a very short time to live, I felt that everything kind of was put into a different perspective for me. There was important and unimportant things in life. And I find that worrying about our current political state is a very poor use of my worry time. And it really frustrates me that I, A, have to worry about it, and that B, people are so stuck to their beliefs and so stubborn about not bending how they believed that we're not thinking, nobody's really thinking past that, and that's very frustrating to me.
Right.
So that's what I meant.
Right. Okay. Another question for you. As a mom and a speech pathologist, how do you see all of this affecting kids today?
So that's a really, really good question. I see parents who are frankly afraid to bring their kids to school because they may not be legal immigrants here. Even though their children may be born here, they're afraid to bring their kids in. I am also seeing cuts to certain funding. Like there's a lot of people who are really worried about more cuts to the Medicaid system. So I have parents often express to me that they feel that their child should be eligible for Medicaid, and they go to apply and they're denied. And these are kids with pretty significant problems that in the past I would have seen gotten approved for Medicaid services. So I think that there's some fear in my own job. As a mom, raising a boy, I feel like it's really hard for me to try to have these conversations with my own son. He is very pragmatic and very logical, which I appreciate. But he has the ability to take emotion out of things. Mm-hmm. And sometimes we don't see eye to eye on things. But I do want to make sure I'm raising a son who has a really robust respect for women in general. I'm very worried about how women are viewed in our society right now in general. And I want to make sure I have a son that's respecting that. And I also want to make sure my son knows that women can do anything men can do.
I'm with you. I agree. You know, I've got a son your son's age, and I feel the same way. I hear you loud and clear. For me, I feel like everything right now is like fighting for dopamine, kind of, you know, it's like outrage has become like the new currency, and fear and keeps people engaged. The more fearful people are, the more they're engaged they are. And politics is no longer just in the news anymore. Now it's in our homes, it's in our schools, it's in our kids' lives, right? Like something we didn't grow up with, seeing that in our face every day. And something that's really striking to me is that you can't even like post anything anymore, something even positive or like a quote or something about kindness. This happened to me recently. Something about kindness without it getting pulled into politics, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like nothing allows you to just be human anymore. Britta, do you remember when we were at Magnolia School together and there was this amazing lady? I just loved her to death. She was so sweet. And she stood up and she said that a mind is a terrible thing to waste, and she didn't want anyone to lose their minds. Remember that?
I do.
Well, I worry right now that that's what we're going through, and we are wasting minds with the constant outrage. So, and let me share with everybody why I wanted the butterfly to kind of be the symbol of this channel. I use the butterfly as a symbol because I feel like real change is really uncomfortable, right? So when I had cancer, I'll, see how you feel, but when I had cancer, I really called it my chrysalis phase, right? I would look in the mirror and I thought I didn't look the way I wanted to look. I felt ugly. I felt sick. I was nauseous. And I felt very uncertain about where things were going to go. But it wasn't the end. And there was beauty afterwards. So I think humanity right now might be in that phase. I feel like humanity is in the yuck, like the nastiness right now is so gross and and nobody knows what to think, where to turn, and we're getting lost in that. So I also want to share with you that there was something that you said during my cancer journey that stayed with me. And you said, the day that I found out that I had it and I was devastated, you said, Cindy, we're all terminal the day that we're born. And that stuck with me.
So I actually heard that from a friend of mine. We were running together, I'm a runner, and we were running together. And I was complaining about my diagnosis and how there was a 100% mortality rate with the type of cancer that I have. Yeah. And she said, well, aren't we all, don't we all have an expiration date? She said something along those lines.
Right.
And I was like, that's a really good point. Tomorrow is not promised to everyone. I mean, it takes one life-changing event to make people think about things in a different way. Unfortunately, I'm starting to feel like things personally have to happen to people for people to appreciate what other people go through. For instance, I have a family member who was personally affected by the Parkland shooting. Mm-hmm. His daughter went to Parkland High School. Mm-hmm. She graduated the year before, but she knew people who were involved in the shooting there. And he was very middle of the road about gun control until that happened. So it shouldn't have to take something like that happening for people to think logically about things. So, right. And I think that just to tie that back, it's not just cancer. It's driving down the road. Something else happening. Somebody walking in and deciding they want to shoot up a place.
Right.
We all know, again, tomorrow is not promised to anyone. So I just think that putting things in perspective like that is helpful.
I agree. Britta, thank you so much for talking with me today and sharing your perspective on things. This channel is not about being left and it's not about being right. This channel, I want it to be more about being human. And I feel I'm not here to change anybody overnight. I'm here because I don't want the noise, the fear, the anger that we're seeing in this moment right now make us forget who we are. So if you're questioning or tired or just looking for a more human way to stay connected with the people that you love, you are welcome here.
Changing is happening, it's happening to me.